What's up, guys? This is GC Off-Road. Today we're going to be starting on our next project. So I just ordered a transmission cooler like last week and it came in today. So I'm going to unbox it here in a minute, make sure it comes with everything that I need to install it, and we'll see about hooking it up. I'll try to walk y'all through along the process and show y'all how it goes together. So here's the package. Go ahead and pull this out, and here is the cooler I got. It's just a universal replacement. It don't have a fan with it. It don't really need one. I deleted the AC system out of the Jeep, so the condenser or all that stuff that was on the front and all the lines are removed, so it gets plenty of airflow. So I'm gonna put this in its place, and it should work just fine. I'll carefully sit it down so I don't bend the fins on it. Now, it also came with a roll of heater line, or rubber line, I call it heater line, and some, you can see that, they're kind of like zip ties that go through to hook it to the radiator or wherever it's going to mount at. And then it's got a bag of fittings. It's got an aluminum line, brass fitting, and a couple of screw clamps. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes for the rain to die down. I'll set up a canopy and we'll go out to the front and start on the project. Okay, so to start this project, I've got my transmission cooler sitting up here. I just undid my grill, which just holds on with these two screw points. And I've got it slid forward. You can see the only thing I have in here now is the factory radiator. So I got plenty of room to work this transmission cooler into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to find a location that I like it at where I can mount it up. Now the way I'm gonna route this is the return line is on the top of the radiator right here. I'm gonna be removing this line and catching the fluid that comes out of it. Then I'll be piping a soft rubber line from up here over and into the front of the grill where I'll have my transmission cooler mounted at. It'll go into the bottom side of the trans cooler, then come back up through the top, and I'll run soft line back off of it and back down to my rubber line and hard line that goes back to the return side of the transmission. But for right now, I just got the connection undone and I can kind of push it over to the side. I'm gonna go up under the front of the Jeep, right under the fan, and try to pull the line out the bottom. Power steering line is kind of in the way, but try to keep all this in frame. You're just gonna wanna break that line loose. Mine's pretty rusted, so it's making it hard to get the wrench down onto it all the way. But I'm just using a 3/4 inch wrench, and I've got it broke loose, and I'm backing it out. Now I should be able to get that loose by hand now. So before I break the seal on that, I'm gonna go grab a bucket so I can catch any fluid that comes out. All right, so as you can see, it's leaked out a little bit of fluid. It's not in the worst shape. It's a little dark, but it don't smell burnt. So that's a pretty good sign so far. I'll make sure I run by the store after a while and pick up enough to top it off. I've got some here, but I will have to have more to top it off with. All right, so I've got that cut. I don't see any metal shavings back in the end of it. We'll go ahead and hang it back down so it can keep dripping if it needs to. Now this is the end that comes from the top of the radiator. So I'll hook a rubber line over top of this and clamp it down, and that'll run into the bottom of my transmission cooler. I back flushed this with a little bit of transmission fluid, blew air through it. It was coming out clean. I did not see any metal shavings in it whatsoever. I deburred the end of the line, so it's good to go. So what I'll be doing is they sent a little over, I'd say about 5 feet of this rubber line. I'm gonna try to slip it up onto here till it's about 2 inches on it, maybe a little more. All right, now you see there, this is where the end of the line's at. So I've got about 2 inches of purchase on that. So that should be good enough to hold it on. I'm gonna throw a screw clamp over on it, tighten it down, and then I will trim up the rubber line. I'm gonna go ahead, go back up to the top of the Jeep and hook this back up, and I'll route this line over and around to the front side of the radiator so I can then mount the cooler up. You can see I've got that line mounted back up. I just got it torqued back down, and right down in there, you see the line comes out, kicks over here to the side, and follows that wiring harness right around to the front, and it's sitting right there. So the next step is going to be to figure out how I want to mount this cooler inside this space right here. So I just measured out roughly how much line I would need, then I cut it off and then disconnected this from the top of the radiator again and got everything mounted up. It was a lot easier to do it with it outside of the header panel. Now the line that I had left was about 3.5 feet. I went ahead and hooked it up to the top side of my cooler. Now I'm gonna feed this through the bottom, like up under the front of the radiator, and I'm gonna zip tie it up in place, and then I'll be able to route these lines back to where they go. So I found a way to mount it without using those zip ties. I found I had a couple of these straps left over from where I did my onboard air, and they just happened to match up with these bars and the width of the holes on that transmission cooler. So I just took 2 of them, wrapped them around it, and then ran a screw or a bolt down through it and tightened it down from the back side. And it also works good because it keeps it standing off of the braces. That way it's not bouncing back and forth against it and damaging the fins. Now it wouldn't mount up top like I needed it to, so I just took an L bracket that I had laying around and I bolted it through there and brought it up to the top to right here. So I'm about to get the drill a hole through here and bolt it down, and it'll be hidden under the rubber seal that goes under the front of the hood. All right, I just trimmed off some more of that line, that way I can get it to bend the way I want to. So I got that fastened on there, it's tightened down. Now I'm gonna go back up and under here, take the slack up out of that line, get everything pulled back to where it needs to be, and then zip tie it all up into place. All right guys, so I got it installed, got the lines zip tied up out of the way. You see the lines aren't hanging down the bottom anymore. Come up in here, I just got them zip tied together to the hard line, that way it keeps it from getting hit by the fan, and they just run down through the side there and into the cooler. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything cleaned up, get my grill put back on, and fire this thing up and see about topping off the transmission fluid. Got done just in time. It's starting to rain again, so go ahead and get everything cleaned up back here. I've got the front end put back together. As you can see, can't really notice the transmission cooler looking at the front, but you know, added security and knowing it's there, and I'm happy with it. When I replace the lines running from the transmission up, I will add a transmission temperature gauge to it. So I'll try to do that all in a video here soon. I've got to get the parts for it, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up here. Hope y'all like the content. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.